Such a dirty camera. So dirty. All right. Let's get this going. All right, let's see. All right, if you're joining me, say hello. Comment. Do something. And I'm going to make myself a little bit quieter on my computer so I don't hear it. Okay, great. All right, so we're going to just hop right in. Thanks for joining me. I haven't really done a live formal demo. Not formal. Formal sounds so stressful. Informal. Hey, Kathy. So I haven't done something like this except for the Eric Rhodes thing. So I was like, I should try it myself. So here we are trying to do it myself, you know. So I apologize in advance for any crazy screams and any crazy noises you hear in the background. But now let me just start by telling you how much time it took me to pick a subject for today, because, you know, you might think like, oh, it's easy. You could just pick a subject, Andrea. What's the big deal? Yeah, no, because I know that it's going to be live. I know that it's going to be a longer time frame, and I want it to be something somewhat interesting to watch for people, of course. And I want it to be something that I could execute well as well. So I went through so many pictures last night, but I came up with this nice little sunsetty seascape image. So I love all the images I get are copyright free. They're from a wonderful site called Unsplash. It's similar to Pixabay. There's a bunch of sites out there that have these wonderful images that are free to use, and people want you to use them. So yes, I will do that. So I just love this image because it's calm, it's wonderful. And actually I'm putting together a show right now where it is all things that are, what's the right word, are kind of relevant to me with parenthood and just the ups and downs of all that. So that's a show that I'm planning for in March over at Studio 7 in Bernardsville, New Jersey. So we're going to get through this and we'll see how it goes. Okay. Now I am also going to be using a little bit of some rubbing alcohol today too. So that's going to be a fun little side technique that I show you. If you've never used rubbing alcohol before with your pastels, it's definitely a cool thing to check out. Let's first go over the paper that I'm using. The paper I'm using is called Pastel Matte. Here's I wanted to grab this. It's Pastel Matte. It's made by Clairefontaine. Excuse me. I didn't swallow correctly. This is magic paper. Okay. If I could buy stock in this, I would. Pastel Matte is all I use. If you are new to pastels, and if you go to Michael's or something and buy the pad that says pastels, that's fine and dandy, but you're never going to be able to hold as much pastel as I apply to this magic paper. So if you are really into pastels and you're like, I want to do what Andrea does, get this paper. It's not cheap, but it's so worth it. For those of you that have taken my class in person know that I call it the magic paper for a reason. And it comes in all different types of pads. The pad I just showed, which was number 4, it was number 4. That's what it's called. It has 4 different colors in it. Not this color though. This is one of my favorite colors. It looks just like a dark gray, but it's called anthracite. Well, it is a dark gray, but it looks like black, but it's not. Anthracite. So I love that. Let's go over some of the colors that I'm using as well. So these are my pastels. All right. They're a mixture of both hard and soft pastels. So I have the ability to layer really kind of lusciously would be the best word that just came into my head, or a little bit more of like a minute layering, which is more of a harder pastel. So you're probably thinking, Andrea, I don't know what my pastels are, and that's okay. You'll figure it out as you go. As did I. So let's just run down my colors here. Okay. And I bet you I'm going to be using, I like this color too. I'm going to grab this one. The more colors you have, the better. But let me just tell you something. You could have the biggest and the best sets in the whole world, the whole selections, and you're never going to get the one magic color. Okay. Because every color subtly changes within a couple millimeters. So if you have the best color, that's great for like that one little swatch. So don't feel like, I only have a 26 count or a 36 count or but Andrea, I have the whole Terry Ludwig collection. I can do it all. Like, that's great. You do you. But I bet you that you're still going to have to layer colors to form new little subtle nuances. Okay. I have, speaking of Terry Ludwig, love my Terry Ludwig V100. This is a super dark purple. For those of you that know me, know I love my purples. So it's almost a black. I actually don't even have black out. I might pull it out, but this is what I use for mostly my darks. All right. Terry Ludwig. All right. Get a percentage every time I mention that. Here I have a lot of new pastels, are my harder pastels. I'm sorry if you could hear my dog trying to breathe in the background. Stormy. Snorting. All right. So we have a cream colored here. Let's come down a little closer. We have white. Okay. This is my favorite. This is also a variation of purple. It's a purpley gray. It's a new pastel. It is number 244. No, I don't know a bunch of numbers. This is just one of the 6 numbers I know. But I hate how you can't buy them in open stock anymore. Does anyone have any like feedback about that? I know someone mentioned in the Jerry's Artorama store that you can get, like the in-person store, you can get some, what was the brand? Was it Richardson? I think it might have been Richardson. No, it was Create a Color. They're very similar to new pastels. But anyway, we have like more of a pinky mauve. We have more of a muted mauve. Whoops, down here. And then we have this crazy blue, just because I love it. I don't really see it in the picture, but we're going to use it. We have a brown. We have Harbor Blue, which is number 345. Like I said, I don't know all the numbers, just the ones of my favorites. This is a new pastel. Peachy color. This is kind of like a Carhartt khaki color. I always wanted to be a crayon namer. Then what happened? I don't know. Gray. This is more of like a, I don't know, like a taupe kind of color. I guess it's more of like a khaki. Another shade of gray. Up here we have like a marigold. We have a little bit more of like a browner, like a raw sienna. Here I call this dirty pink. It's a new pastel. I believe it's number 206. Here we have like a very dark kind of like burnt, I call it burnt flesh. That sounds so dark. There's another variation of a brown, another brown. This is a very deep red. Oh, you can't see. A very deep red brown, almost like a mahogany kind of color. Once again, it's a Terry Ludwig. And here we have a lovely purple. So it's a little bit more of a louder purple. So that's my color lineup. Like I said, if you don't have all these colors, it's not a big deal because you can do magic wonders with like a set of 24 or something. Let's just get you situated here. Okay. Hold on. I want to get you all on the whole screen. Let's come in a little bit. All right. There we go. Okay. Let's start by sketching this out first. So let's get in our drawing. So I see our horizon line being a little bit higher than our halfway point. Let me move this over. A little higher than halfway point. Now here's the beauty of a landscape, ladies and gentlemen, is that it's your world. Channel your inner Ross because you can do whatever you want. No one's going to know. We have this little rocky thing here. You have to make sound effects when you do it because it just makes it better. And then we got this big rock here. He's coming out from the corner. He's coming down. He's doing a little bump, a little bumpity bump. I'm not even drawing this exactly because I know like it's just going to change. So why do something crazy? Why put in so much work when you know it's going to change? Like don't clean the floors until you clean the counters, you know? All right. I'm in organization mode over in my house. So if you are in organization mode with the new year in your house, comment. I want to know all the things. Okay. 2 big rock formations that are kind of jutting out. Think of it like 2 big toes of a reptile. It's a mom of 3 boys thinking here. What would it be? It'd be a dinosaur foot. All right. We got this little tiny flat guy here. We got this big old rock here. He's smoother. I don't know why I'm making. He needs to have some smoother sounds. Okay, whatever. And then there's this little guy back here. Boop. Okay. Oh, it's 3, like my 3 sons. And then there's this little guy over here. I like you. And the water, you know, you could draw in lines for water, but it's really just a matter of texture and color. There's one wave back here, which is nice. So I will kind of just suggest that in with a line just so I know where it is. And then we have the line that separates the water from the sand here. Stormy, you got to stop like breathing so heavy. And that's after her surgery too. So she could breathe. All right. And then this is water. This is wet sand. And then there's also dry sand. So I'm going to draw the line that separates dry sand from wet sand. Now notice the lines that I'm drawing. They're not a straight line. Okay. I'm kind of doing like a wiggly line, but they are a flat wiggly line. So, oh, Esther, we got to talk some organization, girl. You were always so organized with all your art supplies, though, at least when you came to class. So back to the line. When you're making your line that's representing something that's on a flat surface, I want you to think about, let me do an example on something, on what is the question. Oh, let me use the back of one of my little papers here. So when you're doing a line, you don't want to just do a line, okay? And you don't want to make it like that. When I say make it like kind of a squiggly line, this is what our brains go to. But don't do that. I want you to think about making it more of like a smushed squiggly line. So squiggly, squiggly, squiggly. Okay, so someone took that and they smushed it with their finger, making something like that. Okay. Technical term, squiggly. All right, let's get in our sky first. Normally I start with my darks, but I want to get our light in. So we're going to do background to foreground. I'm going to start off with my light, my cream color over here. And I'm just going to start to layer it on. Now with this paper, I got to layer on a good amount. Otherwise, it's not going to blend. It's not going to do a bunch of things. Because remember, it's magic paper. So I have to definitely get a good amount on there. And then I'll use my finger a little bit to smudge it around. I normally don't use my finger, but if I want something smooth, I'm going to use my finger. And guess what? I do a lot of things that people say not to do in pastels, and I don't care. Look at me. I'm working flat. Get over it. People do it. Like me. I also, it sounds horrible, but I also blow my powder. So yeah, it's not supposed to be that way. But anyway, Crystal, all you can hear is the pastel on paper. My goodness. You can't hear my voice? You can't hear all my wonderful things that I'm saying? I hope everyone can hear all my wonderful things I'm saying. All right. That's my cream color there. All right. I'm going to up it up. Yes, Jackie, technical term is squiggly. I mean, oh, I miss you too. Oh boy, girl, we got to get you back in. All right. Marigold or margarine, whatever you're feeling. I'm hungry. So not that I would eat margarine, but I mean, butter's always a good thing, right? Here is some of that. Now, I always get crazier with my colors initially, and then I calm them down. So if you're like, Andrea, I don't know about that yellow there. It looks like a fire. Like it's definitely not in the reference photo. I know. But bear with me. You got to trust the process. Make it like a melted rainbow first, and then calm it down. You could always get calmer. It's harder to infuse that life back into it. This is my dirty pink that I was using, number 206, was it I said? Then we're going to go to some gray up here. Oh, this is a little bit of a cooler gray. I don't know how I feel about this. Now, I also don't erase on this paper either. So, oh yeah, I know you could hear my dog breathing, Crystal. She's sleeping now, so hopefully she doesn't breathe heavily. All right, so this is the light gray nude pastel. See, I'm kind of going over my dirty pink and a little bit over my yellow as well. Now, it's interesting. Don't mind this. I was staining some wood. We were redoing our pantry. Yay, organization. And I can't get it off. So, speckly hands here. You can tell the amount of pressure I'm putting on the paper with the pastel when my pinky starts to go up. So if I'm a little bit harder with it, look, my pinky's kind of tucked down. And then when I start to get a little bit lighter, it just starts to rise up. So I noticed that just randomly. So I'm just telling you. So if you're curious. Now, we might have enough pastel happening on here. I don't think we do. Yeah, see, it's not even blending yet. So we got to add more. So we're going to add more. Because this paper is like a sponge. It just absorbs it all, which is great until you want to start blending it and you're like, oh my gosh, someone please just let this be enough. The dog just wants to make so much noise today. Stormy, stop. Let's get a little bit more light over here. This is where my light source is coming from, way over there. So I want to get kind of amp that up a smidge. All right, let's pick a finger that's not too yucky yet. Little circles. Wax on, wax off. Never saw that movie, FYI. I know. Sorry. I'm one of those people that like hasn't seen any of like those classic movies. Godfather, Karate Kid. Never seen it. Star Wars. I know. Don't hate me. I'm sorry. Now it's just kind of like something that I really just need to do. I saw the horse head scene in Godfather. That was, I mean, that really makes me want to watch the movie. All right. Love that gray going into that dirty pink. It's so wonderful there. Little circles, little circles. I always end up using like either my middle or my ring finger. This is not anything technical. This is just something that I do. And I always end up pushing it down with my pointer finger. Why do I do that? I don't know. I could just push harder with my pointer finger, but my pointer finger always ends up being dirty. Look, see, I just made it dirty. So that's why I always end up using my middle finger. But so you would think my middle finger is more dirty, but no. All right, we just want to watch mud. I like brown. My whole house is painted in neutral shades, but we don't necessarily want brown for things that we want to be nice and vibrant. I mean, the sky isn't too crazy, but we do want it to have some sort of niceness to it. So we want to watch our color. If you're kind of like, I don't know anything about color, I think this semester I'm doing a color theory workshop. I don't know if that's this semester or not. It might be. It might not be too. I keep meaning to make a pre-recorded class for it, but you know, life happens. I do have all these ideas. They will happen. I swear. Maybe this year's the year. All right. See, I went to a new finger because the other fingers are a little bit, they're used up. If you don't like the feeling of it on your fingers, that's fine. They have lots of tools. They have lots of like little, these things that look like makeup sponges. You could use those, but I like using my finger. Doesn't bother me. Okay. So nice smooth sky. Now I'm looking at it shrunken down in, well, a lot of pastelists, Jackie, do forbid you to use your finger or smudge or anything and work flat and blow the powder. But obviously I don't follow the rules. And I think that's why you love me, Jackie. Now I'm looking at it shrunk down on my computer screen over there, which is what you guys are seeing as well. And that's how I'm seeing everyone's comments. I know, Melissa, they got to watch Star Wars. But I'm seeing like some bands of color. Now in the picture, it's not so bandy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kill those bands by going in an opposite direction. So I see them as being very horizontal. So I'm going to go a little up and down with a color that's friends with all the colors I have already here. So I don't know what color that was. It was like the khaki color. So I'm going to go up and down there. Maybe I'll add a little bit more. A little more yellow there. Maybe a little dirty pink. Okay. And then this finger's not too bad. I'm going to go up and down a little bit with it. And that's going to help soften that because we think skies and water, we have to do it horizontally, which normally is the case. But until you look at it from a distance or see it shrunken down or take a picture of it with your phone or use what people used before phones, a reducing lens, which is the opposite of a magnifying glass, then you're not seeing the picture how it needs to see itself. So you got to look at it shrunken down. That smoothed it out a little bit. A little bit more here. I know you're like, Andrea, you're spending so much time on this sky. There's like nothing to it. Okay, I think I'm pretty content with that sky. Nothing says that I can't go back to it, right? I can go back to it. It's my world. I can make it lime green if I wanted to. Baby wipes are our friend. Okay, clean fingers. Make sure they're dry. Okay, now we have a very atmospheric mountain here. Okay, so it is, you can do a tissue. It's just sometimes the tissue picks up the pastel a little bit. I'm a big finger promoter. But do the tissue. A very atmospheric, look how red that is, right? That is not a black rock. That is not a gray rock. That is what is that? Like, what color is that? Reddish, brownish, orangey-ish? Yes. So that's another perk of working from the iPad, FYI. If you're not working from an iPad yet, you got to get on that train. Okay, let's get in this far away. Let's zoom in. Welcome to my world. Okay. Now I gotta make my shape something that I actually like care about. So this is my, what did I call this? My raw sienna color. Let's just get in my shape first. This is a very soft pastel, so it's not the best pastel for making little finite lines. And you're supposed, here's another thing that you're not supposed to do. Now the dog wants to leave. You're not supposed to use soft pastels first. Does it look like I care? Nope. If the color is right, then that's fine. Now I also, remember, I'm working on magic paper. So my magic paper, it's got a big tummy, right? So I can fill up this tummy with, like, think of this as like a heavy fettuccine Alfredo, but it's still got room. It's got a big tummy. I could even go back to the salad. Obviously, I'm hungry because I'm talking about food. I have to let the dog out because she's crying at the door now. She wasn't entertained enough for me. So, do I look like I care? Yeah, Jackie. Sometimes you just got to not care, right? All right, a little bit of this dark red. It's not going to stay that dark. I just want that color in there because I don't have like a dark red in other colors. In fact, Jackie, you gave me this pastel. You gave me this pastel pre-COVID. I was doing this one polled Hereford cow. It was like a dark reddish brown cow, and you had this color. And girl, I am almost out of this color. I got to figure out what it is because it's been one of my favorite colors, and it's totally because of you. So thank you. All right. Let's take another little brown. This one's a little bit more of a harder pastel. Don't ask me the brand. I don't know this one. We're just going to use it to actually blend. My finger's a little bit too big to get in there. So sometimes I use a harder pastel to manipulate the pastel everywhere and just blend it as if it were a finger. Now my rocks don't look like the rocks that are there. But you know what? If I don't show you that picture, you don't know. Yep, just blew it. Okay. All right, that looks pretty. I'm actually going to use my finger in just this one little spot. I'm going to use a harder pastel now just to get a little bit more of a crisper edge. Now, I did get some great pastel pencils for Christmas. I have one set here. Let me grab them. Did I bring up my new set? No. I've been asking for it for Christmas for like 3 years. This was the year I got it. And I'm so excited, except they're downstairs on my couch. That doesn't help me. But these are, what are these? These are the Faber-Castells. They're wonderful for little tiny areas like this. Also for fur. I'm just going to fill in all the little nooks and crannies of this little faraway mountain here because, or rock surface. What color is this? I don't know. It says 188. It looks like a peachy kind of orange. So I'm just going to use that. And it's also, see how it's kind of like moving the powder around. It's also moving the powder, yes. But in my eyes, it's kind of blending it a little bit too. So I think that's kind of nice. Okay. I think that's, yep, I just blew. And I blew again. Okay, I think we are just about there with that. Notice I didn't make it all the same color. I made it a little bit lighter towards the right, a little darker over here. You know, you can change things as you go. Don't look at it individually. You know, like I see lots of little things that I don't like. I see things that I wish I did. Don't look at it so specifically. You know, that's like, I don't know. I can't think of a good analogy right now other than like ones that are not good to bring up. So we're just going to shut my mouth. Let's see. Any new questions? No, I just had to check. So a variation, all light, warm tones. It's an atmosphere where it's a warm, it's a golden hour, right? Where that beautiful rim light happens. So we want to kind of make sure that we capture that atmospheric perspective. That is the word of the day. Now, let's back this up a little bit so you can see the whole thing. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to get this rock super dark, and then I'm going to alcohol it, and I'm going to let it sit while I do some other stuff. So at least hopefully I could do some other stuff. Hopefully it won't get too wet. I don't know. No, we'll do our ocean first. But that's what we'll do in a little bit. Now the ocean, I'm going to put a base color down first. I'm not going to worry about the texture of the water. I'm going to worry about just getting, once again, that atmospheric perspective where it's lighter, it's warmer, and then it starts to get a little bit more purplier, periwinklier, and darker down here. So I do want to make sure that my horizon line is number one straight. It looks like it goes a little beyond this rock foundation here, this rock surface. All right, we got to make sure it's straight. Otherwise, there's like, oh gosh. Otherwise, it's just not going to look right. Let's see. Did I make it straight? Let's see. Well, it kind of looks straight. I don't want to keep raising my ocean, so I'm going to go down with my sky a little here. Now, you could use a ruler. Some people are not about using a ruler. I don't care what you do. As long as you are enjoying the process of making art, that's all I care about. That's all you should care about. Of course, we want to enjoy the process and like what we make, but sometimes it doesn't work out that way. And sometimes people get impatient and they're like, why isn't mine perfect yet? Like they'll make one mark and be like, why isn't that the best mark? Like, girl, you need to calm down. Relax. So, patience. I tell myself that. My husband would laugh because I'm like, honestly, the most impatient person ever. And if you've taken my class before, you're like, Andrea, I don't know what you're talking about. You are like so chill. Like, yeah, I portray that for a reason. Got to portray the chill. Whereas at home, I'm like, rah! I got to unleash it somewhere. All right. You guys are getting to know me a little too well. I put a little bit khaki, a little pink, a little purpley color, a little yellow, a little bit of everything. Now, purple and yellow, they're complementary colors, okay? They are by Jackie. This will be, you could check it out later. This will be posted. Purple and yellow are opposite colors. So complementary on the color wheel, which means when you put them next to each other, they make each other pop. They complement. They say, purple, you're looking so nice today. Thanks, yellow. So that's how I remember it. But when you mix them, they start to make a little bit more of a neutralized mud color, which in this case, I'm kind of going for something a little bit more calmer back there anyway. So it's a win-win for me to have them kind of combine. So I want to just create the edge of this thing here. Looks like there's a, I just noticed there's a little wave back there. And the wave is lighter than the rock. Now, my rock is not as dark as what's in the picture. So my wave technically should be a little bit lighter by comparison because it should be a little lighter than the rock. I don't want it to be too light though. So look, the pinky's up. Pinky's up. Light, light pressure. You don't need a lot, especially when you're using a soft pastel, right? Don't need a lot. You have to whisper when you do it. Okay. So back here, I used so many colors, but I needed to just establish that. Now, as I get further down, there's this one wave happening. And it's not getting hit with a lot of light because it is a wave. And the light source is behind it. So I'm going to just go ahead and use my 244p. Technically, it's called blue violet. Just kind of get in where it's going to live. It's going to live there. And then for the rest of this area, I just want to kind of get in something, a starting point. It's like water in the pot for a soup, you know, or vegetable broth, whatever you want to do. Or chicken broth. I obviously don't use chicken broth. All right. Little harbor blue here. Get that as a base. Little purpley, mauvey color. I love this shade. Don't ask me what it is. It was a color that someone gave me because they didn't want them anymore. And it was a nice little mixture. And that's where I got this blue too. I want to say it was like Grumbacher or something, but I don't remember Grumbacher being square. So I don't know. Garage sale finds, handing down finds. Those are always great things. Okay, I used it very lightly. You could see the texture is still there. Yes, Bonnie, looking forward to seeing you again. Look at you on your Peloton bike. Oh my gosh. That's awesome. I wish I could make art and do that. Wouldn't that be great? Ooh, that's a whole niche right there. Let's go in with some peach over here. Little peachy peach. Remember, the light source is over here more, so I want to create that light happening. In fact, there's a little light that kind of comes on down and swoops up and breaks up this line. Light, look at that. Pinkies up, light pressure there. Okay, a little bit here. I know I said I wasn't going to do texture. Once I start going, I'm just going to keep going. All right, a little bit with a little gray. Just starting to, just a little bit. Dirty pink. Notice my strokes are all horizontal. I'm not doing those individual like textural strokes yet. I'm still just laying down a foundational base to then which I will layer stuff on top of. Ooh, there's this fun splashy thing here. I'm just going to bookmark that with some little doodads of dirty pink. Bookmark it. Ooh, a little something there. I like him. Okay, I think I have some sort of start on my area there. Of course, it won't stay that way. Now, looking at it shrunken down on the computer screen over there, this is very, very heavy. What was I thinking? I love that color, but come on, Andrea. It has to be a little bit lighter. So I'm going to use the side of my dirty pink, and I'm just going to skid over it, like put a veil over it, you know? Like we don't need it to be as intense. And it could even be a little bit cooler, so I can go in with my blue. In fact, this blue might even be a little dark. I could probably use a lighter blue, but we'll see. We'll see. We just want to get in something. Then we know what to fix and what to finagle and all that good stuff. So, all right. I just wanted something down there so that way now I can put in my dark of my mountain. What is this? A rock. So I'm just going to use you know what? I am going to use a black. I'm going to use a black. I'm going to create this nice little edge here. This is a new pastel. Ooh, that's not what I wanted to do. So yeah, it's a new pastel. When you're planning on putting rubbing alcohol over something, don't use your fancy pastels. Like I'm tempted to use some of my Terry Ludwig, and I could, but also I would be like ruining it because I'm just gonna go on top of it. Now I know this rock formation, let me show you, has some light on it. Okay, there's light hitting it, but I'm gonna show you the easiest way to make a rock because this technique is just wonderful for it. So let me just get in all of my little specifics here. Okay, over here, looks like there's a little bit more. We could do our little tiny guys as well. Let's get this big one in first, Andrea. Stop jumping around. Doesn't have to be that specific because when you go in with a brush, everything's going to get all, you know, mushy anyway. Just want to try to get this edge a little bit more exactly how I want it. Of course, I'll have to be careful with my brush over there, but that's why we have to pull out a little brush, I guess. And all I grabbed was a big brush, so I'm going to have to go get a little brush. Little there. Here we go. This drops down. We got this little guy over here. A strong base, when you're doing something like a rock or something that needs texture like this, if you have a strong base, meaning like just whether it's black or whether it's just a color, you know, same thing like how I was doing here with my ocean, it's going to be a big game changer because you won't have to do as much on top later. So even, you know, when I'm doing my oil paintings, when I do a first layer, I want to make it a nice strong plop because my second layer, you know, even though that's the more of the work layer, okay, because I'm being a little more finite with all my details. If I did a strong plop, I don't have to do as much. It's really a good mindset to have. So always try to accomplish as much as you can effectively in the first round. That doesn't mean necessarily details. It just means serving a nice base for your future self to apply things onto. I don't know if any of that made sense. Hopefully it did. All right, so there's my rocks. Let's get some rubbing alcohol. We have this beautiful little test tile, Peter Syack. Got a name drop there. And they didn't want all these like ages ago, years ago. My friend Lizette, they were going to get rid of them. I was like, hello, this is perfect. So This is rubbing alcohol. This is the 91%. You could do whatever percent. You could even use water, like whatever. This just evaporates quicker. So my paper, if you're working on that Michael's pad that just says pastel and it's just paper, you're going to be real mad at yourself if you do this. So don't do it. This technique is only good for pastel paper that has like a backing to it. So the pastel mat has a backing to it. Something like Wallace or UArt, that has a backing to it. Something that it's not going to just disintegrate, because we don't want our drawing to disintegrate. Okay, it's going to make it a little bit more solid. You're going to see some shine for a little bit while it gets a little bit more dried. Let's go up, let's go in, let's go around. See, I don't need a big brush. I just need to be mindful of the edge of my, or I don't need a small brush, I should say. Have a big brush. In other words, I didn't want to get up. Okay. This should dry pretty quickly. I do have a hair dryer readily available as well. So if you were to take my pastel class, this is something that we would do in class, and you could try it out with the guidance of me. I am offering an in-person pastel class over at CCA that still has some enrollment options. There is still some opening there. And I do offer one over at the Visual Arts Center of New Jersey, but that one is full. So if you want in on the spring session, you got to get in on a class now, because pre-registration is when you can register. A lot of my classes there fill up before it reaches public registration. So if you're someone who has always wanted to take my class over at that location in person, that is the little trick there. I also offer my Zoom class. So that's starting on Monday. I know Bonnie's going to be in it. So, we got two Bonnies. Bonnie will be in my pastel class in person, but then the other Bonnie will be in my Zoom class. We got two Bonnies talking over there. All right. This is all alkalified. It's not a word. Alcoholized. Anyway, so some parts are still wet. I'm going to just let that be for a moment, and I'm going to try very carefully to go around, because you do not want to touch the wet spot with the dry, but I'm going to do it just for the sake of, demo purposes, because I got 20 minutes-ish left to pull this guy off. Well, I don't know if it's going to happen. We'll see. I gave myself an hour time frame. Not that I can't go over, because it's my world. Do whatever I want. I'm running the show today. Okay, a little bit of some peachy color there. You can see the bottom. Let me pull back a little bit more. All right. And also notice, by putting in that value 10, that is just setting the tone for all of my light values. It really kind of plays in like, oh, wow, like this isn't as dark it seems anymore. And just because I have that value 10 there. Let's get in some of my cold Heffered red brown. Now, when I use the soft pastel, there's a lot of powder that goes on. I don't want to lose that powder. I'm not going to blow that away, because I know that I want to try to blend a little bit of that. Let's use our V100 purple. I see some of that over here. This too, this has a lot of softness to it. My husband got me a couple more for Christmas. I'm so excited. Set for the year. I literally just started my second block. My first one kind of died over there. It's like a fragment left. I won't get rid of it. It's still good. Little here, little reflection of the rock. That's going to be dark there. Little something there. Back here, it's going to be a little darker. All right, let's use some of my 244P. New pastel. Blue violet. Just kind of going a little in between. Remember, don't be scared to get a little crazy with your color right off the bat. Like, why not? You always calm it down. Add some brown, calm it down, right? Or its opposite color. That's another option. Now, if you do end up going into your wet alcohol area, and if it's still wet, you will know, because it will actually lift up part of the paper backing. It'll lift like the paper pulp off of the surface, and you're gonna be sad, because there's no fixing that. There's no undo button there. A little bit more of like a reddish brown. A little more light in here. Okay, now this is very light. It's too light and it's too cool. Yes, it's a warm color. Yes, it's peach, but it's too cool in comparison to the atmosphere that it needs to be right now. So I'm just going to go in and calm that down a little bit with some brownish tones. We're going to go in with this burnt flesh color just to kind of kill it a little bit. And then if I want to lighten it up a smidge, I can go in with a little dirty pink. Notice I'm doing my horizontal lines again. Sometimes I use like the whole edge, like that whole side, just to kind of dilute some lines so it doesn't look too like liney line. You know what I mean? Hold on. Let me show you what I mean. So instead of it just being like a bunch of lines like this, I'll use the whole surface and I'll kind of dull. See what that does there? Oh gosh. See what that does there? It just kind of makes it almost like a veil on top of things. So think about using the side of your pastel a little bit as well. Every facet of your pastel is important. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of some smearing here. Go back and forth. All that powder's still there. It's helping me. It's getting there. This area is still too loud for me, but we will fix that. Loud's okay. We can quiet a loud person, but it's hard to get a quiet person to speak up. Pastels are the same way. Whatever analogy you need to understand things, you do it, right? Okay, now I'm going to start going in with more of my oceany texture because I think we're at that point where while this is still drying, it's dry to the touch, but I still want to give it a little bit of chance to cure on the inside of it. We're gonna work over here. So we have this kind of pinky mauve going on, and I'm just gonna add a couple little like textural things. Now what I'm doing is I'm using what I call the magic edge. So it's not the flat side and it's not the flat side. It's that edge in between. Vertice, is that it? I was looking at my kid's math book. I'm like, what's the name of that edge? I think it's vertice. Second grade math, I'm learning terminology. They should just call it the magic edge because it does magic things. I don't use the corner to make lines. I use the magic edge because it's already a line. It's like using a ruler to make a line. I mean, why wouldn't you do it? All right, let's go in with some of my yellow here. Now I'm being very gentle with my yellow. It's a softer yellow. Let me come down closer so you can actually see what I'm doing. What's the purpose of the alcohol? That's a great question because I totally didn't talk about that. The purpose of the alcohol is, so I made the area of that paper now this color. Now, granted, my paper was dark to begin with, but even if you were working on like a light yellow paper, if you alcoholed it to be this dark, it would now be that. It's like covalently bonded to the paper. The paper is now black, which means I can take my finger. Look, this finger's clean, right? Look, it's like really not picking up. So it's able to allow layers on top without it mushing with the color underneath it. Does that make sense? That was a good question and a question I should have talked about while I was working it. So I love the questions, guys. This is great because I never really get to, well, I mean, I get questions when I do demos because people will speak because we're on Zoom and they could just talk. But it's nice to have questions when I do demos because, like I said, sometimes I don't remember to say certain things. And I need people to remind me, like, oh, well, that's a good point. Because if you are thinking of something, I bet you someone else is thinking of it too. And they're probably just not brave enough to speak up. So speak up. Let me know all the questions. There are no dumb questions, FYI. If you're thinking like, oh, I don't know, that sounds like a dumb question. I know some of you might be thinking that. No. You know what? I challenge you. Ask me something that you think is a dumb question because I bet you it's not. There are no dumb questions. This is my Harbor Blue. Just going and getting a little bit more texture there. I got to start developing this to be a little darker. I'm squinting my eyes between the reference photo and mine, and I'm noticing that this area here is just not the value that it needs to be. So another little trick you could do is take your reference photo, and this is why working on an iPad is really helpful too. Take your reference photo and make it black and white. And then you can take your reference or your artwork, take a picture of your artwork in black and white. So you can comparatively see what is working, what's not working without the color element. Color is great and dandy, but it's all about the value that holds everything together. Everything is value. That's why they make you draw first in black and white, right? You can't just hop into art and not understand value. You're going to be sad with your artwork. You're going to be like, well, why doesn't mine look real? Well, value. Don't be scared of the darks. Let there be light. All of those things. I always say those in my classes. I used to be scared of the dark, you know, in art world. I used to be scared. I used to never have value 10s. I could show you work from like mid-college, and I'm like, what was I thinking? Where are my value 10s? I think that's why I gravitated towards meeting my husband. He would always use so many darks, and he still does. I like to think that I found a balance in mine. All right. Now, let's get a little bit more light down here, and over here we already have the light. It's not as bright as white, but you could have light without it being white because it's all about what's surrounding it. Once again, values. Okay, down here it's a little, oh, my pastel just broke. A little bit more light here. We have this beautiful edge of this water. What color is that? I don't even know. We're going to put it in with this color. Now this doesn't really stand out as much, right? But once I add that dark underneath it, because there's a lip. Look at the lip. Look at this lip of foam, right? The lip of foam stands out because it has a dark underneath it. It's a little cooler too, so I should add some blue to it. But let's just get you in there first. Get you in there. Use a little bit of some margarine. I could actually utilize the paper color here to my advantage, like leave some of the pockets of my gray coming through. But I need this dark in. I need it in. I gotta put it in. Let's use our dark purple, just cause. It's a little bit of a soft. It's hard to get a thin line with this, but I want that intensity of the dark first. I could always refine. Now I'm going to see the edge of this lip here. I'm not going to see it here because that's on the other side, but I see a little bit here I already got. Here I already established that. I could go in with black too. It's a harder pastel, so it's, you know, and some people are anti using that. Whatever. You can do whatever you want. I'll do what I want. A couple little lines there. Use your other hand. Why not? Texture. I'm using my magic edge, getting that texture of the water. Or not, well, it's wet sand. Texture. That is our friend. That was another thing I used to never do. It's like, what is going on? My husband would always make a lot of the texture, and I was always like, look how smooth I can make it. It's like, it's not supposed to be smooth, Andrea. All right. I just grabbed a little bit more of a stronger blue. So I want there to be a little bit more shadow here. I can also diminish part of my thickness of my line there, which is nice. Now I can go back in and add a couple little lights, although the cream was too light. I got to refrain from that. We think light needs to be white or cream, and it's like, it's not. So I'm going to go in with a little bit of this peach over here, create some little texture, but my peach is not going to look light until I have dark within it, dark around it. You can do the dark first, you can do the light first, whatever you want to do. We've got all this foamy stuff happening over here. Sometimes it's just a matter of like, sometimes I'll just tighten up my whole arm and I'll just let it like gyrate, and then it will just make the movements of things naturally. You just gotta like trust your tense arm. My watch told me I have to stand, so I'm gonna stand and do this now. Because I sit, another thing you're not supposed to do. Okay, That's getting there. It's a little more textural there. By comparison, I'm seeing I need a little bit more of this yellowy tone here. Get a little bit of that in. Dibble dabble. Doodad. Oh, I don't like that color. And I'm not going to erase it. If I put something down I don't like, I'm not going to erase it. I know the paper can take it. Magic paper. Spoil yourself. Okay. I'm going to get a little bit more than that later, but let's move back over here. I want to texturize this, and then I'm going to go into my rocks because the rocks are ready. Let's get down here so you can see my side slather, side of the pastel, right? Just going to side slather it, side shimmy, whatever you want to think of it as. Okay, that's just going to help kind of give that illusion of, you know, sandy stuff. Sandy stuff. Let's do a little bit more back here. Sorry, I'm moving the camera so much. A little bit more back here. What is back there? It's definitely not as dark as that. I think I want to use some of this bluish color, like Harbor Blue. This is a harder pastel, so it's a little trickier to put on there, but I like that intensity. Now, I don't see that much blue in the picture, but I'm not a Xerox machine. Our job is to make things way cooler, because, like, why wouldn't you? Like, just, why wouldn't you? We're making the art for a reason, right? Otherwise, just hang the photo up. Okay, let's go to this wonderful rock now. We need to let there be light. So I'm going to, remember, light doesn't have to be white. So I'm going to use, what do I want to use? I think I'm going to use this burnt flesh color. So let's come in here. Let's make you straight so you can actually see stuff. I do prefer Pastel Matte over UArt. UArt's a little bit more gritty, and I used to use Art Spectrum a lot, but once I found Pastel Matte, because I liked the smoother consistency, I just really like it better. But, you know, there's nothing wrong with UArt. Everything has a purpose. Let there be light. Oh, that was a bad line. All right, soft pastel. Doesn't have to be soft. I just like this color. I'm just kind of trickling it down where I think the sun would hit it. And you know what? Sometimes I don't even know where the sun's going to hit it. You just do it, and you just figure it out. And you say, my mountain is my mountain. And not everywhere needs to have light, too. Like, we get a little light happy, right? We get a little like, ooh, I want light everywhere. But sometimes everywhere is not good. Okay, there's a little light up there. Maybe here there's kind of a broader little section. Back here, we got to get this nice guy nice and bright here. He's got a little friend. He's going to have some other colors on him. Just kind of mapping out where things might live right now. There's still texture in shadow, by the way. It's just not going to be as bright. Okay, once again, values. There we go. Over here, there's texture, but it's not as light. This guy doesn't have that much. This guy has a little bit more of like a rim light, but we're going to go a little brighter over here with you. A little bright light there. Nothing beats a nice rim light. Same thing over here. Let's get a little rim light on you. Not everywhere needs to have it. And you don't want to fill it in too much, because look up close. See that like little speckliness? That is what's going to make it look rocky, right? That's what's going to make it look like what we are shooting for. Less is more. I can sit here and sculpt the rock, but why do I have to do that? I have all the information, you know, within the pastel. The pastel is going to make the rock for me. I'm not going to make the rock. Let's go a little bit darker over here. See, that was a little too light. Now, if you get to the predicament where you're like, oh no, I made it too light. What do I do? Andrea doesn't erase. You could just alcohol it again. It's great. And now what also happens, and you guys saw me use the black, it dries a little more matte, and the black is a little drab anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with a little bit of my dark and just add a little bit of some intense value 10s again. A little bit of some shadowed, reflected light, because, you know, like there's light, it's bouncing, it's saying, hey, rock, illuminate. Rock ignite. Maybe a little over here. Let's bring you back. There we go. Let's see where else. Over here, maybe a little something. Not that much. I think I want my purple. Where's my purple? Oh, I don't know. That was too light. See, I'm allowed to make mistakes too. This is my Terry Ludwig purple, and it's a little big. I might have to use my little tiny guy. And I just kind of want to, is it going to be dark enough? I don't know if that shows up enough. Let's see. I might use a little bit of the black because it's a harder pastel. Just to kind of emphasize some of these little nooks and crannies again. Not filling it in totally, just some spots where I need that nice intense crispness, right? We need that nice ooh la la. Maybe this can just kind of ease that edge. The edge was a little too cookie cutter crisp. So what I did is I took the side of my black there and I just kind of grazed over it. You can graze over anything really. I mean, if it's too much, just put that little veil of darkness over it. My rock doesn't have as many beautiful little nuances as the picture, but no one will know. Get my little nooks and crannies in with my raw sienna color. A couple little things here and there. You just don't want it to look dotty, right? You don't want it to look, and mine's starting to get a little dotty there. I gotta stop the dot. Put a graze over it. Diffuse the dot. There we go. All right, I think I have to, this is the moment where I start to overwork it. Step away from the rock, Andrea. Just, all right, I need one more little mark. I keep looking at it shrunken down and I'm like, no, this guy's lonely. This guy needs this. This guy needs that. This guy needs a little bit more of an edge. Okay. So do you. All right. Now, the splashy stuff. The splashy stuff is great. Remember, it doesn't have to be as light, but we can make it have some light spots. Where is my light color? Which one was I using? Dirty pink. That's right. So I'm going to just kind of create a little bit of some flingage by using my little magic edge we talked about. I'm going to put it down and I'm just going to fling. All right. Let's get a little bit of light back here too. I'm going to use my cream back here. Oh, you guys can't see what I'm doing, so that would be helpful if I pulled away. Always look at things from a distance. Pull back even more. There we go. So with my cream color, you're going to see a couple little lines, little dots. Maybe I can start getting a little warmer as they get further away. It's really not that much, but just a couple little edges on the top of the wave there. A little bit there. Let's see, maybe a couple little more darks in some of these waves. Not everywhere, just in some spots. Maybe more of the foreground areas. Maybe here there's a little bit more of a dark. I'm using my 244p. Oh, this guy, I like totally ignored him. Oh, now I just made him too light. Okay. So over here we have our splash. I'm going to go in with a little bit more light with our splash there. Let's see. Let's pick a color that's, let's use our marigold. Then I'm going to show you another little trick to make some splashy splash. I know many of you guys already know what I'm talking about. The razor blade stuff. Always a good one. Oh, over here we have a nice little smear of foam happening. Okay. So yes, my show is going to have a lot of seascapes in it and a lot of cows, which is like, what's the relevance of that, Andrea? Well, there's a lot of little like subconscious things with all of those subjects that for me relate to parenting and children and things like that. So that's my basic subject matter for my upcoming show, cows and water. It's more than just that, but yeah, that's it in a nutshell. Let's get a couple little other things. The reception will be in March. It'll be March and April. So I'm excited for that. So everyone should come to the reception. Okay, there we go. All right. Ooh, I like that. Okay, let's do a couple more things here, but I'm going to do my razor blade. So I have a straight blade like so. Okay, I'm going to take my straight blade and the color that I want to fling. There's not that much fling going on here, just a little bit of fling. In fact, I just need to make my light of my fling look a little bit lighter by putting dark next to it. Graze over a little bit of some. All right, let's see. Take maybe this guy. And I'm just going to kind of sprinkle. Oh, he's too light, or he's too dark, rather. Let's use some of my yellow. You're probably thinking, Andrea, that's just going to blow away. No, it won't. It's a magic. The trick is to not do it everywhere. Okay, that's the trick. Now, if it's hard for you to see it, I'm just sprinkling a couple little sprinkling some sprinkles on top here. Now, when you get pastel matte paper, it gives you a piece of glycine, which is this like waxy paper, but it's not wax paper. You would put this right on top and press it down. So now it is embedding itself into the paper. I'm not smearing, I'm pressing. Okay, and you could do this for splashy splash. You could do it for speckles on the sand a little bit. I just want to darken a little bit of some spots back here. It's a little too much for me. All right, let's do some down here. Maybe some dark ones. So it looks like there's little sand things happening. And harder pastels do shave a little bit easier. Okay. Lay it down. Press. There we go. And then the only other things that I'm going to kind of fiddle around with, because I know we are just about at that time, is where the water hits this rock. It would not be just a flat cookie cutter shape because it's an ocean, not a pond. So there's that. So always kind of break up the bottom edge there just a little, just to make it a little bit more interesting. Now, what you could also do with a somewhat clean finger is the horizon line. I have mine being really crisp. I just want to soften it a little bit, so it's not cookie cutter crisp. Atmospheric perspective. Soft lines will recede. Hard lines will come forward. Cool colors recede. And warm colors come forward. Even though here we have some atmosphere going on, it kind of needs to be warm there. All right. And that is, I think that's it. What do you guys think? I guess I should sign my name. Let's sign it down here. And there we go. There's our little seascape with some rocks. And I hope everyone had a nice time. Make sure you follow my Instagram, AG Illustration Art. It's on the banner down below. And make sure to register for my winter classes. I do have my Zoom class starting on Monday. That's called Create and Inspire. It's Mondays from 12:30 to 3. And every demo is usually step-by-step. So something like this is something that you could totally create, broken down throughout the course of the 2.5 hours. Sometimes I'll do oil, sometimes I'll do pastel. It really depends on the crowd. And everything's recorded. So if you miss something, that's totally fine. You can check it out on your own time. So, hi, Bruce. Hey, Fran. I hope everyone had a great time, and thank you so much. Melissa, it's not recorded, but it is going to be on Facebook. So it should go directly to YouTube too. I just know that on Facebook it will be around to rewatch. So, all right, bye everyone. Thanks for joining me. If you think I should do more of these, just comment below. Yes, don't forget to hit the like button. Thank you. And subscribe if you're on my YouTube channel watching. If not, you should go to my YouTube channel and hit subscribe. All right, bye everyone.